Deception. Deception, that's a key word.
And you thought that you'd be safe in your tower, insulated from the people below.
The towers are crumbling.
But the truth has undermined your foundation.
Truth is coming out.
So many people now in the know.
People are noticing.
You thought that you'd see the day that you could just get away from the ones you betrayed, who raised their voices to say you won't be trusted anymore.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation, it is the 3rd of November, 2025. These are the WTF reports, and I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. And we're brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. I have to plug it out because I noticed that you used my Wave Watch for the past week and a half, and my kidney pain is gone. It's freaking gone. I was afraid that I was going to be having a bout with kidney stones, and I've had it before. I went to my doctor, and I talked to him about it, and he says, well, yeah, you've got a history, and the last x-ray showed that you had something that was there. But anyway, the bottom line here is he said, drink a lot of water, drink some organic cranberry juice, and hopefully you'll pass the stone. Well, glorioski, I got home and started using this Wave Watch, let it run for a couple of days, and the pain is gone. I mean, it's freaking gone. So, I mean, I must have passed a stone. I don't know. But all I know is that this Wave Watch is, it's a good thing. If you haven't checked it out, check out the Wave Watch, folks. It's based on Tesla technology that was refined by Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, and that's why we have Rife machines. And the Wave Watch is a Rife machine you wear on your wrist. It's cool. Check it out, and if you decide to get one, you'll get $100 off when you use the promo code REDPILL101. Check it out, folks. I'm not here to blow smoke. Anyway, okay, I got to get started. I've got a ton of stuff to get to today. But first, before I get started, I have a lot of audio clips and audio receipts. So if you're going to get upset with today's show, keep in mind you're hearing it from somebody else. I'm playing audio clips from lips that spoke the words that I didn't. All right, keep that in mind. Now, right off the bat, ever since October 7th, a lot of people now have been taking a good hard look at what Israel has been doing. All right? A lot of folks now are very critical of Israel. And of course, there are consequences if you criticize Israel. But I digress. Let's go back now because more and more people, since this is an issue, of God's chosen people, all right? And Ted Cruz was quoting the Bible, shall I say, misquoting the Bible when he was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson. Of course, Tucker Carlson is taking a lot of heat now, too, as is Candace Owens, as is Ian Carroll, as is Eric Warsaw, as is Ryan Mata, all these other people who are examining and noticing. All right, I digress. I got so much stuff I want to get to. But because of October 7th and because of this concept of God's chosen people, people are now looking at Scripture. Now, I want to point out that the Jews and the Christians share the Old Testament. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right? We have the same prophets. We have the same 10 commandments. Now, let's go into those 10 commandments. Now, these are commandments. They're not rules. They're not suggestions. They're not laws. They are commandments. All right? One of which says, thou shalt not murder. All right? But the second one is important. Thou shalt not bear false witness. In other words, you don't lie. You don't deceive. All right? So keep that in mind. Now, we look at the motto of the Mossad. The motto is, by deception you shall make war. All right? By lying, we will make war. All right? Now, war as a concept, most people, when you think of war, you think of soldiers and guns and rifles and bombs and tanks and missiles and jets dropping bombs and strafing. That's war. Yeah, that's war. But there are other kinds of war, folks. There's psychological warfare. There's economic warfare. There's information warfare, class warfare, holy warfare. There's all kinds of wars going on. By deception, we shall make war. So the Mossad doesn't limit itself to bombs and missiles and soldiers and guns. No, they are in all kinds of war. So this is why everybody is so confused right now. This is why we don't know up from down, because we're all being psyoped. And I don't care if you're, liberal, conservative, right-wing, left-wing, Democrat, Republican. We are all being psyoped. Keep that in mind. So the conservatives out there, we've had the wool pulled over our eyes just as badly as the liberals have. All right? So we have to keep that in mind. So if thou shalt not bear false witness, that means that they are lying about just about everything. All right? So with that in mind, we have to take a look at what their philosophies are. Who are these Jews? Who are they? Now remember that originally Judaism was represented by the menorah. All right? It wasn't until the establishment of the Zionist state of Israel that star was adopted. Now it's mentioned in the Bible, that's the star of Remphan or Moloch. All right? They call it the Star of David, but David didn't have a star. Now, for you regular listeners out there and you folks that have been noticing, you probably already know this. But the bottom line here is that it's about deception. We are being deceived. And I saw that years ago. I mean, that's why I use the theme song that you hear every time I start the show. This thing right here.
It's too late for you to tell us your sorrow.
Okay, this was dedicated to the media, which has been, of course, controlled by people who are represented by that star that represents Zionism. Now, a lot of people are very proud to admit that they are Zionists. As a matter of fact, Laura Loomer admitted it loudly and proudly. Here she is.
As we know, Donald Trump is the most pro-Jewish, pro-Israel president we've ever had. And I'll say it now to your entire audience. I stand with Israel. I'm proud to be a Zionist. I'm proud to be a supporter of Israel. And we need to stand with the Jewish people. We need to stand with the nation of Israel.
Okay, I'm going to stop her there, okay? People cannot seem to differentiate Zionism from Judaism. But you see, that's the deception. The powers that be don't want you to be capable of understanding the difference between Zionism and Judaism. Zionism is political dogma. Judaism is a religion. All right? It's simple as that. It really is that simple. So to try to join the two together indicates that you have an agenda. Anybody that goes after Zionists is being labeled as an anti-Semite. And that in itself is an oxymoron, because we now know that the Palestinians are the Semites and the Israelis are not. Well, I tell you, there's so much here to get to. And who is behind that? Of course, it was the Rothschilds and Lord Balfour that made this whole thing happen back in 1917 with the proclamation to establish a Zionist state of Israel. Again, this deception goes back a long, long way. It really does. And so we have to look at the Rothschilds. What kind of people are they? Where did they come from? Where's their lineage from? Well, their lineage comes from Central Asia. Yeah, around the Ukraine area. Right around the area where the Khazarians were. Yeah, the Ashkenazi. These are the folks that adopted Judaism. They were never in any way associated with the Middle East. Okay? And this is why people have to understand. You've got to do the research on the Khazars and the Ashkenazis, and you'll start to understand what is represented by that Star of David. And I guarantee doggone to you, it had nothing to do with the Old Testament. Anyway, I wanted to get that out there in the beginning because what's been going on in Israel is absolutely horrendous. Now, if these are God's chosen people, I have to ask the question, which God do they worship? Because they sure as hell, and I'll say it, They sure as hell are not representing Judeo-Christian values. They do not honor the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not murder. Oh, okay. Well, let's take a listen at some of the reports about what was going on in Gaza. Children. Yeah.
When were you in Gaza?
End of April for the first couple of weeks. And then there's sniper bullets. I have children that were shot twice.
Wait, you're saying that children in Gaza are being shot by snipers?
Definitively. I have 2 children that I have photographs of that were shot so perfectly in the chest I couldn't put my stethoscope over their heart more accurately, and directly on the side of the head. In the same child. No toddler gets shot twice by mistake by the world's best sniper. And they're dead center shots.
In fact, more than 20 doctors recently in Gaza also told Sunday Morning about gunshot wounds to children.
This was on Sunday Morning's Good Morning America, ABC.
American doctor told us he even reviewed CT scans to confirm what he saw because he, quote, didn't believe that this many children could be admitted to a single hospital with gunshot wounds to the head. Some shootings have been captured on video.
So, of all the disaster zones you've seen, how does Gaza compare?
All of the disasters I've seen combined, 40 mission trips, 30 years, ground zero, earthquakes, all of that combined doesn't equal the level of carnage that I saw against civilians in just my first week in Gaza.
And when you say civilians, is it mostly children?
Almost exclusively children. I've never seen that before. Never seen that. I've seen more incinerated children than I've ever seen in my entire life combined. I've seen more shredded children in just the first week.
Shredded?
Shredded.
What do you mean?
Missing body parts, being crushed by buildings, the greatest majority, or bomb explosions, the next greatest majority. We've taken shrapnel as big as my thumb out of 8-year-olds.
Isn't that wonderful? These are God's chosen people. Thou shalt not murder. And by the way, some of the numbers have come in, and estimates are that 83% of the casualties in Gaza are women and children. Is that a war? Is this the action? Are these the actions of God's chosen people? And again, you have to ask the question, which God? Because Zionism was established by an atheist, Theodore Herzl. 1894. Look it up. Do your research. People are noticing. Even RT, Russia Today, on their talk show, Crosstalk, was talking about Zionism. Listen up.
You know, Romano was talking about the existential threat to Israel. I think it's a good point. But I think we can be more refined. There's an existential threat to Zionism and the Zionist ideology that we have seen getting worse and more and more radical over the decades, particularly under the present government here. That is under threat, okay? And it doesn't know how to move forward, okay? It has no gear control. It reacts with violence because it only believes in deterrence. Well, if your deterrence is in tatters, then you're even more dangerous. That's what I worry about. Go ahead in Toronto.
Absolutely. Let me just first very quickly say that the real existential threat right now is to the Palestinian people who are facing the genocide.
Right.
So
okay, got that. Got it.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, and I know people agree, but I just want to make that clear.
Sure.
And so Zionism is a political ideology that was always going to go down the path of using violence. It's a very simple equation. I won't get into the academic complexities of it. Palestinians lived on the land. Zionism was a project that said, well, we want different people to live on the land, so we have to remove those people forcefully off the land because they will never just leave their land. Who does? Nobody does. Nobody just says, oh, I'm going to leave my homeland. So it was violence from the early parts of the 1900s, and that violence continues throughout the 20th century into the 21st century, and that violence was inevitably going to get more and more extreme. And so this genocidal operation is not the first. 1948 was the first mass expulsion of the Palestinians, and the Palestinians have always called it the ongoing Nakba, which means catastrophe, and we're seeing this next phase of mass expulsion happening right now. But it was never going to look. Of course, it has produced, and it is is producing right now completely devastating consequences that it will take Palestinians generations to heal. But it was never going to actually succeed, because Palestinians, this is their homeland. They're never going to leave it. We can share the homelands. We can make it both of our homelands. I've made this very clear in other writings.
What a radical idea! What a radical idea! My good, have equal rights for everyone. Wow, that's really, that's radical thinking.
Yeah, it is. And if you recall that Muslims, Christians, and Jews all lived in the Holy Land in harmony before the establishment of the Zionist state. That's just the way it was. Anyway, let's hear what some of the rabbis have to say about people who are not of their ilk. Now, again, there's a huge difference between the biblical Hebrew Jews and the Zionist Jews. Zionist Jews are not in any way connected with the Holy Land. Here's one of the rabbis.
The value of every Jew count like many other Goyim in his spiritual value. Even you take righteous Goyim and you put them compared to one righteous Jew, one Jew can be equal like thousands of righteous Goyim if you put them on a scale spiritually.
So if you're not one of them, if you're not a Zionist Jew or a Talmudic Jew, we'll get into the Talmud shortly, then you are Goyim. You are subhuman. You are an animal. Okay, they would call you dogs. This is one of the reasons why the Israelis don't listen to the International Human Rights Commission, because they don't see the Palestinians as humans. They don't see anybody aside from them as humans. So they can ignore the Human Rights Commission. They could do whatever they want because they are God's chosen people. And again, you have to ask which God, and we'll get to that shortly. Here's another rabbi.
When God gave us the Torah, the Gentiles were jealous of us. They feel that we think we're elitist, we think we're the chosen people, which, by the way, we are. We do think we're elitist. We are the chosen people. They think that we think only we are the children of God, and we do think that. And we're not embarrassed to say, only the Jewish people are the children of God. The nations of the world are not the children of God. They're not God's children. They're God's creations. They're created b'tselem elokim. They're not God's children. And this creates a certain jealousy, and they don't like that. In other words, there's an ethnical reason. They feel that we are elitist. We think of ourselves as better than them, which we do. And therefore, they hate us. What can we do? God selected us, Yeah, good. God selected us. So these are the two reasons for anti-Semitism. One is what Rashi says. Rashi says, Amar Rav Shimon Echai, Halacha hi v'yadua, Se'esav Sainei liYaakov, that what's the reason for it? There's no reason. It is. God, the reason for anti-Semitism, according to Rashi, is that it's just a law. It's a law of nature. There's gravity, and there's, the theory of relativity, and then there's anti-Semitism. And then, on the other hand, you have this Gemara in Shabbos that the Gentiles hate us for, they feel that we think of ourselves as better. When God...
Well, yeah, you do. And again, he pulls that thing out, anti-Semitism. They are not the Semites. Oh, my gosh. Okay, let's see, who do we have here? Okay, caller, make it quick. I got a lot of stuff to get to. Who is this? Cynthia, is this you?
Yes, this is me.
Okay, make it quick. What do you got, sweetie?
Very, very fast. Some people who were badly affected by the behaviors of the City of London, the international banksters, who control our military and our government, they believe that the Rothschild family and the other people from the City of London, known as Jews, are actually from an area called Radam, which was part of Baghdad, maybe, originally, and that they traveled the world as merchants and connivers, basically, and they hid under the name Jews because they worshipped Baal, and Baal worship involved child sacrifice.
That's right.
And they didn't want that to come out. So they did apparently could have people converted to Judaism, but a form of Judaism that's Talmudic.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And as such, and those people that were from Khazaria were probably from a Turkish area that has now, another name. An old name for it was Phrygia, Phyrgia, Phrygia.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an ancient animosity between the worshippers of Baal and the Hebrews, and the Hebrews may have murdered a bunch of the Baal priests at one point. And so you hide behind history that you cannot find easily. And that's all I wanted to say. I'll send you some links. Okay?
Well, you're right. Well, you're right. Hey, okay, thank you for your contribution. And keep in mind that history is written by those who hang the heroes. So.
Okay.
All right, sweetie. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, well, she's absolutely right. You know, and the Rothschilds, have family ties. As a matter of fact, I have a clip here of Jacob Rothschild explaining why they inbreed in the family. Here he is.
And Baron James, who was head of the Paris branch and the youngest of the 5 sons of Mariam Rothschild, gave an astonishingly uninhibited description of the 19th century Rothschild policy of keeping it in the family. I'll quote to you from what he wrote.
Okay, he said a 19th century policy of, quote, keeping it in the family. Here it is.
Make me smile. In our family, we've always tried to keep love in the family. In this sense, it was more or less understood since childhood that children would never think of marrying outside the family, so that our fortune would never leave it. You couldn't write that today.
No, you couldn't write that today. In other words, they are inbred. The sociopathic, sadistic, violent attitude is inbred. It's purified. It's pharmaceutical grade over generations. That's the kind of people that you're dealing with. And they teach that. As a matter of fact, I have another one. Here's another rabbi. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. This is a little, you're going to hear a little kid talking about what they're being taught. And, of course, if they're taught from the Talmud, they're taught that everybody is less than them. Listen up. Bang. Here it is.
Excuse me, I'm a Jew, and I just like to say that, in our Bible it says that you're like animals.
Yeah, there it is.
At this point, if you're speaking about the liberation of Palestine and not discussing banning the Talmud, I believe you're misguided. Just speaking about liberating Palestine over and over again is like pointing out blood splatter on the floor, the symptom. When the cause, the axe wound lodged into someone's head, is called the Talmud. So the video I just showed you is real. The Talmud says repeatedly that everybody who is not Jewish is animals that need to be destroyed. Okay, so that's why the genocide in Palestine is happening. That's why genocides across the earth are happening. And if you just keep saying free Palestine, you will say that until the end of time, unless you address the root cause, which is the Talmud.
Bingo.
That's what we need to be focusing our attention on at the moment. Aside from myself, there are 2 other accounts out here on Instagram that have the courage to talk about the Talmud and share information about what's written in there. Everybody else is afraid. They don't want to seem not woke, scared of the ADL. Well, take it from somebody who has Jewish ancestry. I give you my full permission to rip apart the Talmud. You're not going to change some Christian in America's mind about the politics in Palestine because they have Islamophobia in their brain. You show them this in the Talmud.
גדול הבעל הקטנה, בוא נגיד ככה, ולא כלום. כי מה זה קטנה לצורך העניין הזה? פחות מבת 3. הבתולים שלה...
I believe that's Yiddish.
Oh, you better believe they're going to change their mind. You show them this part too.
I was thinking about a certain thing that's written in the Talmud, in the Gemara, and it says that Jesus, Yeshu, is in hell, boiling in a pit of his own excrement.
Yeah, that'll do something. So if you really want to fix the problem in Palestine and across the earth, I suggest, as a strategist, a master strategist, that we all turn our attention to exposing the Talmud, which is the cause of this problem, a book that has been banned multiple times over the centuries because it is a satanic book.
Bingo. Yes, it is. And as a matter of fact, Ursula von der Leyen, who's a chairman of the European Union, I played this clip a little while ago, and she said the following as if she's representing all of Europe. I don't think so, but listen to this.
Europe is the values of the Talmud.
No, they don't.
The Jewish sense of personal responsibility, of justice, and of solidarity.
So she says that Europe has the values of the Talmud. Now, the Talmud didn't come around until what? Well, about 400 or 500 AD, okay? After Yeshua, Jesus died. So that wasn't even around. That has nothing to do with the Old Testament. And let me see. I've got a couple other ones here. Let me see if I played this one before. Here's another. Rabbi Yaakov Shapiro said the following. Here he is.
Jew, ask a Jew. Do you believe America's your country or do you believe Israel's your country? The Israeli court said a person can only have one nationality. Is your nationality Jewish or is your nationality American? And if your nationality you say is Jewish, then what's your country? Zionism is intellectually absurd. It's logically incoherent, and it needs to be exposed for that. We need to separate Israel from the Jewish people. The Jewish people are a group of people. They're all over the world. They share a common religion. The non-religious ones, you know what? Ask them what their Jewishness is.
Okay, he's basically referring to the Israelites, the sons of Jacob. Remember, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Jacob had 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. And Israel was a nation, a group of people, not a country. And I've said it before, sort of like, if you're a Red Sox fan, Red Sox Nation. That doesn't mean that there's a country called Red Sox. That means that there's a group of people that hold a similar belief. And that's what Israel is supposed to be, a nation of people, not a country. But we have all been deceived. And again, I refer back to the beginning of this program. The Israeli Mossad's motto is, by deception we will wage war. And there's all kinds of deception going on here. But we have to keep that in mind. We have to separate Judaism from Zionism. And for all of the Old Testament Jews out there, my heart goes out to you, because you're going to be suffering the consequences of those who are waking up and understanding what Zionism is. Now, the powers that be don't want you to know the difference. They want to equate Zionism and they want to mold the two. Zionism and Judaism are one and the same, but they are not. They're absolutely not. And those who are trying to join them together have an agenda. And that's either they have been influenced by one of three things:
bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Because the Zionists don't play fair. They don't go by the Ten Commandments. They are deceivers. They are liars. Anyway, let's see. I forget what this clip is. I want to play it anyway.
Listen up now for the very last time and listen carefully. We don't hate you because you're Jewish, you ignorant, duplicitous, genocidal scumbags. Sure, amazing Jewish people are at the forefront of the pro-Palestine marches and movements all over the West. They're the very best of us. We hate you because you murder children with sniper fire. You allow babies to die and rot in their incubators. You burn people alive in their tents. You're attempting to starve a civilian population to death, and you will only allow a trickle of aid in to appease your low-life allies in Europe and America. That's why we hate you. And anti-Semitism? You're the most anti-Semitic people in the world. You label people who ask you to stop murdering children as anti-Semitic, as if murdering children was a core principle of Judaism.
Wow.
You thick fucks. And your day is coming. Judgment Day is coming for you. Even your pathetic, spineless allies in the States and in the so-called UK and France and Canada, they see what way the wind is blowing. Even Piers Morgan, the rat's rat, is is jumping ship. So I can't wait to see you all face justice.
Yeah, well, that's the sentiment of a growing number of people all over the world. And unfortunately, like I said before, the real Jews out there, the ones who go by the 10 Commandments, they're the ones that are going to suffer. So all of you Jews out there that are not on board with Zionism, you've got to stand up. You've got to condemn Zionism, because you're going to be blamed, because there are too many people out there that have been brainwashed to think that Zionism and Judaism are the same, joined at the hip. If you criticize Zionists, then you hate Israel and you're an anti-Semite. And they're passing laws now that you can't even talk about it anymore. Yep. Let's see what this clip is here.
Listen to this.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
That was Jane Goodall. She works with the World Economic Forum. She got a knighthood and all sorts of awards for her humanitarian work. And you know who else received the knighthood? Jimmy Savile. Let's keep going.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
That was Bill Gates, also a regular of the World Economic Forum. They gave him the Medal of Freedom, and he's also a doctor now, and he wants to inoculate the entire planet. Let's just be honest with each other. These people want to get rid of us, enslave the strong ones and remove the useless eaters. And if they believe that humans are so bad and we need to depopulate, how about you show your great leadership skills and start with yourself?
And who do you suppose is behind all this effort to lower the global population? Let me see. Here's somebody who wrote a little open letter to Israel.
Listen up now for the very last time.
Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Okay, I already played that one. All right, let me see. I got a couple other things here. Oh, yeah, with all of the people who are moving into Israel, occupying the West Bank, you know, the settlers that are coming in there and displacing and stealing the homes of people who have lived there for generations. Okay? They're stealing people's houses. Here's a clip.
You're from Brooklyn?
No, I'm from New York, from Long Island.
From New York. What right do you have to live here?
Okay, I'm going to stop it. He said he's from Long Island. Yeah. Hey, yeah. He's not even from the area.
What I have is that the owner of the house wants me to live here, and he wants there to be Jews living in this house, and he wants to, and I got chosen for whatever reason. It ended up being me.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
So why do you live here?
Because I live here, because it's important, and because not too many people want to live here, and it's important to strengthen this neighborhood, to make sure that this neighborhood is not lost in any future peace deal.
So your position here is a political position to keep Palestinians out of it?
Not to keep Palestinians out of it, to keep Jews in it.
And therefore keep the Palestinians who are here out of it?
No, that's not, no. That's a necessary evil. And they're not coming back into here. So whether I am here, whether I am not here, whether it's me, whether it's someone else, whether it's a monkey, whether it's a giraffe, they're not coming back into this house ever. I understand why they're angry at me. I understand why they dislike me. But I did not do this to them. I'm not doing this to them. And as I said, if I leave, I will be replaced immediately. And I venture to think that whoever comes here is not going to be as easygoing as I am.
Okay, so a settler from Long Island has gone over to Palestine, and now he's taken some Palestinians home, and he's justifying it by saying, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and I got something that's really going to blow your mind when I get on the other side. Stay with me.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more tank by going to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page. It'll take you down to an area where you can click on Get More Tank, and it'll tell you all about the specifications and details, why this stuff works so well. I've been using it in my car, and I'm glad that I'm doing it. And I tell you, after you've used it and your engine is conditioned to using it, you got to be careful when you hit the accelerator. Because when I hit my gas pedal, it goes. I mean, I almost have to feather it. Don't jump out of the light so quickly. So, your car's going to run better. It's going to run cleaner. And after a couple of tanks, you're going to start to see the mileage increase anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending upon your make, model, year of vehicle and your driving habits. So if you haven't tried this, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is a win-win situation. Your car's going to run better and cleaner, and that's good for the environment. And you're going to start saving a lot of money in your fuel. One purchase with the promo code will cost you $20. That's, and you got 5 tablets. If you get 20% better mileage, that means your 5th tank is free. Do the math. How much does a tank of gas cost? Okay? If you could save a tank of gas, it doesn't make sense not to use Get More Tank. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and Get More Tank. Oh, by the way, use the promo code REDPILL101. Okay, that said, I got some more stuff I want to get to, and this is going to lead to, oh gosh, let me see, I don't have that as much time as I'd like. But anyway, I want to play a couple more clips. Now, I remember hearing about this guy, I guess it was 20, 30 years ago. His name was James Wickstrom. And James Wickstrom was, everybody said he was an anti-Semite, Jew-hating, Nazi supporter, and everybody said this guy is evil. And I listened to some of his stuff, and I had to cock my head to one side and go, I said, wait a second, I can't go, I'm not on board with a lot of stuff that this guy is saying. Okay. However, now that I know what I know, and now that I've seen what I've seen, and now that I've heard what I've heard, I have to take another look or give another listen to some of the things that he was talking about. But more importantly, I have a clip here. Yeah, it's James Wickstrom, and this is a 20-year-old phone interview. I think it was in 2004 with Rabbi Abe Finkelstein, and Abe Finkelstein came flat out and said it. He came out and said exactly what these Zionist Jews, and again, when I say that, I'm not condemning the Jews, I'm condemning the Zionists who have wrapped themselves in the flag that represents Zionist Israel. Okay, but you're going to hear directly from the Rabbi Abe Finkelstein. These are his words, not mine. So don't start condemning me. All I'm doing is sharing the audio clips of what they said. And I realize I sound a bit passionate today. That's because I'm passionate about this. Listen to this.
I know you know because I've heard it on your show before. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain the blood and we mix it with the Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to have to let you hear this again, because what was it this past year? There was a mortuary that got busted. It was right next to a meat packing plant. And there are more and more people that are starting to say, wait a second, we need to test the fast food outlets for human flesh. You think this is cool? That's tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory, it's hate, it's this. No, it's not. And if you want to back yourself up by saying those things, just raise your hand and slap yourself with it. I'm going to start this clip over again because that's not all that this rabbi divulged or admitted to. This is nuts. This is nuts. And you want to say that the Zionist Jews are God's chosen people? We'll get to which God they worship in just a moment. I'm going to start this clip again. Listen.
I know you know because I've heard it on your show before. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood and we mix it with the Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat it, their children for lunch, and us Jews, we got to do what we do. The most important thing to remember between you, Pastor Wickstrom, and me, Rabbi A.B. Finkelstein of New York, that we both have two fathers, and so that's why we look at the world in two different ways.
Listen up.
And we know that there's a massive collision that's going to take place between two forces, don't we?
Well, that's what your book says. Our book says that we're going to take over the world.
Well, I look at you...
You're doing a pretty good job right now.
Yes, you've done a pretty good job, but there's quite an awakening coming. And my father, who's not your father, my father Yahweh, who isn't your father, of course, your father is talked about by my father in John 8:44, stating that your father was Satan and that you're the descendant of Cain, who was the first murderer. And you know that's true because you teach it in your synagogue.
Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know. But right now it's too late. It's over for you white race. So that's why I'm speaking so honestly here, to bring it out into the open so that you can see it for what it is. You've been teaching the people real good, but they don't wake up, do they? You don't get a lot of followers, do they? Because you know why? They're scared of us Jews, because they don't want to be called anti-Semites, and they believe that we're the chosen people, and so that's why we can do whatever we want to do, and we can get away with it because the white men are cowards, and we go to the synagogue all the time and have some Manischewitz and dance the Hava Nagila.
Okay, so again, that's directly from Abe Finkelstein's mouth. That's not me. That's not me saying this. So if you want to get angry at me and call me an anti-Semite or call this, I don't care, because you're deluded. You're misguided. You have been deceived. And again, the Mossad motto, by deception we shall wage war. Oh, but that's not the only thing that Rabbi Finkelstein shared with this telephone interview with James Wickstrom. Here's some more of it. And by the way, it was about, almost an hour long, this interview, and it is posted on X. And it's some of the stuff that he divulges is absolutely jaw-dropping. He admits it all. He admits it all. And again, if they are God's chosen people, ask the question, which God do they serve? Listen up.
I want to get into that about shekels and interest and everything, and this is very interesting that you bring it up, because I noticed that there's a lot of investment by Jewish financiers into Asia.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Okay, remember what we were talking about here. We're talking about a group of individuals that came from Central Asia who basically assumed the identity of Jews. Okay, they adopted Judaism. They are not the original Hebrews. They are imposters. Okay, keep that in mind. They came from Central Asia, the Khazarians, the Ashkenazis. Okay, I'm going to let him continue. Just keep that in mind. They came from Central Asia, not the Holy Land.
Most parts of Asia. Now, I also know that Jewry is an Asiatic race. Is this correct?
Well, we're really all over the world, but yeah, I guess you could say we started in Asia.
Okay, right there, he admits it. We started in Asia, not the Middle East. Again, that's Abe Finkelstein, the rabbi. They're admitting it. It's not Dave saying this, it's him saying it.
Yes, that's right. Now, the Hebrews did not start there, and the Israelites didn't start there. You really have no bearing to be in the Hebrews or the Israelites. You are not the dispersed nations, plural, of the tribes of Jacob, who were surnamed Israel. Actually, the con game that you have brought on to this country and the world for many years, and it's been a good con game, is that you're allegedly God's chosen people.
We are God's chosen people. It's just that most Jews don't like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer.
Whoa, right there.
Your God is gold.
All right. Are you putting the puzzle pieces together, ladies and gentlemen? Are you figuring this stuff out? Can you see how deep the deception is? By deception, we shall wage war. The Israeli Mossad motto. And again, I remind you, it's not just a war with guns and tanks and rifles and bombs. It is psychological warfare, economic warfare, information warfare, class warfare, holy warfare, all of it. And that's why everybody is so confused right now. Everybody just doesn't know what to believe, what is up, what is down. And unfortunately, the powers that be, very unfortunately, are under the control of these people. And what are the tools that they use? And I've been saying this for, years now?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Mm-hmm. Thou shalt not bear false witness. That's a commandment. So what do? They deceive. Now, if you're backing up the Israelites, the Israelis, again, they are not the original Israelis. The Israelis' ancestry studies showed that 97.5% of them are from Eastern Europe and Central Asia, which coincides with this whole thing about the Khazarians, the Ashkenazis, and you just heard it from Rabbi Abe Finkelstein's own mouth. They're not indigenous to the Holy Land. They are imposters. I can't get this enough. And what's really terrifying is that our own government is covering for them because of those three magic words: bribery, coercion, and blackmail. Deception. This is where we're at. Now, the thing is, there are some people who have been paying attention. Okay, let's go to the phone. We got a time to take a phone call, and then I'm going to tie something in here with having to do with Charlie Kirk. Okay, caller, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave, it's Mike.
Oh, hey, Mike.
I haven't heard you say this. I've been listening to the show.
Uh-huh.
But the area of Central Asia is also known today by the name of
Ukraine. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I think that's really important for people to know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
that's the exact area. Yep.
That's it. It's all bad.
Okay, well, thank you for reminding me. I think a lot of the regular listeners to this broadcast know exactly, where that is. So,
yeah, it's Ukraine.
Yeah. And by the way, this whole thing, I mentioned it last week, that the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars we've been sending over to Ukraine has paid for mansions, not just for Zelensky, but many members of his cabinet have been buying very expensive mansions all over the United States. And last week it was reported that there were 930,000 acres purchased by Vladimir Zelensky in the Wyoming area. Unbelievable. We're paying for it.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for the reminder, Mike. I appreciate it. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Cheers. Bye. Yeah. So, a lot of you listeners out there, you know exactly what we're talking about here. But unfortunately, most people who get their information, if they're consuming the intellectual fecal matter from the mainstream media, they're going to end up with stuff for brains. Anyway, now I want to tie all this stuff in. Now, this is probably going to be another show, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. But what's been going on with the investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, everybody now is saying, wait a second, why did Kash Patel lose his cookies when Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, said, well, we have to take a look at some of the international influencers, foreign influence into the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And Kash Patel said, no, you are not going to investigate that. Why do you suppose he did that? Why do you suppose Kash Patel has flip-flopped? Why is Kash Patel so against transparency when that's what he was saying he was going to give us when he got brought it, when he was being suggested to be a FBI director? What have they got on Kash Patel? Have you done any investigation into his girlfriend? I suggest you do so. Because yes, there is a lot of skullduggery going on, a lot of pressure going on, and I can't emphasize those three words enough. Bribery, coercion, blackmail. That's everywhere, folks. So now, I've been looking at some of the replays. I mean, there are a lot of videos out there of the assassination of Charlie Kirk from many different angles. And I have to tell you, okay, Mikey McCoy has been under the crosshairs and under the microscope for the past week, but it's not just Mikey McCoy. No, there are several other individuals that took some very strange actions right after Charlie Kirk was hit by that bullet. And you know, I think the guy's name is Farnsworth. I can't remember, but I'll give you some details on that in the future broadcast here. But as I watched all these different people who were around Charlie, you know, there's one guy right after Charlie gets shot, he jumps over the table and it looks like he hands something off to somebody else. They stick it in their pocket. Then there's somebody else that comes over and grabs something and then scoots off. And then this guy Farnsworth immediately took off, went through the underpass, and then climbed a wall and got up to the other side. And then he took a selfie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. Not he or not someone. He said they just shot Charlie. And how the heck did he get over there? Why did he go over there? Okay, and it's not just him. This thing, when I was watching, you know, from several different angles, this time I'm going to focus on this guy. This time I'm going to focus on that guy. And every time I looked at this guy through this angle, that angle, and this angle, it looked like it was choreographed. Okay? And in other words, if this was a state-sponsored assassination, of course they would have to have many people in different positions, and they would have to have all of their roles timed out and choreographed. Okay, as soon as Charlie gets hit, you're going to go over here and do that. And then you are going to run back over here and do this. And then you take off, go that way, you take off and go that way. It looks like it was choreographed. And for all of you people who are attacking Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Ryan Mata and Eric Warsaw and Ian Carroll and all the other people who are doing the yeoman's work behind investigating this assassination, if you're condemning them, there's something wrong with your brain, especially the TPUSA membership. And as far as, you know, Erica Kirk is concerned, you need to do a little investigation into her background. Yeah. Just do a search on Erica Kirk and Romania. And then I think it's $150 million has just been pledged to start a home for orphaned children in Illinois, being put up by Erica Kirk. Well, once you do some research into her involvement of the group down in Romania and see who the actors were in that, you're going to say, holy stuff. Yep. Anyway, okay, well, that's for a future broadcast. All right, well, I hope I didn't get you too ticked off today. And again, it's not me saying it. I'm here with the audio receipts. It's up to you to do your own research, put the puzzle pieces together, see if you can't get the big picture, and I know it's ugly. It's real ugly. But I'll tell you what, folks, we can't defeat the beast unless we've got the courage to stare it in the eyes. All right, that said, that's going to wrap it up for the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist. I hope you were enjoying the broadcast. If so, click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, word of mouth. Tell everybody about it. I'm not stupid, I'm not crazy, and I don't lie. Anyway, that said, Take care, folks. I'll be back tomorrow, so stay safe, stay free. God bless you all, and like I said, I'll see you tomorrow.
You won't be